In this topic, we're going to discuss Procore Connect and why this is such a critical change to Procore and what you need to know about it. Alright, so if you've been using Procore for any length of time, you're familiar with the number one largest challenge of the system, and that's that Procore accounts are fundamentally an island unto themselves. Now, with the rapid adoption of Procore across the industry, including clients, builders, developers, subcontractors, it's common to now have multiple Procore customers working on the same physical project. Now, the problem was that the information in each of the Procore accounts was completely disconnected from all other Procore accounts managing that project. Now, this often led to confusion and at times frustration on what the current information was. And if you did want to keep things in sync between different accounts, it was either a lot of manual work or giving a go at a bit of a complex integration. So enter Procore Connect, or otherwise known as the Procore Connection Manager. So this is the first step to unlock that restriction and connect multiple Procore accounts together. Now, the first tool that the Procore Connection Manager supports is drawings, which is a logical and smart first step by Procore. So with this, it's now possible to sync in real time the drawings from one Procore account to another Procore account or multiple Procore accounts. And we'll go through that in a bit more detail shortly. Now, this new feature may be something you haven't realized, and that's because it's been in closed beta and open beta for some time. And Procore's actually just released it over the last week or so. And this feature is rolling out to all accounts worldwide, and more than likely, if you're watching this video, it's in your account right now. Now, it's really important you're aware of this and ready to utilize this amazing new feature, which really is a game changer with working with Procore. So with the scene set, let's see how it works. Okay, so the first thing to understand is that the Procore Connection Manager is built for drawings. The first thing to understand with the drawings is that the Project Level Connection Manager tool, which is in your Core Tools menu, is designed to manage connections between your project and other projects in other Procore accounts, so that the drawings can synchronize between those two projects, or as we said, multiple projects. Now, what's this going to allow you to do? Well, a few important things. You can share that current data with approved collaborators in other Procore accounts. Now, you're going to also eliminate the need for collaborators to perform duplicative entry or set up some type of complex integration. But for me, most importantly, you get to retain the data in each company's Procore account for ongoing record keeping and reporting. So essentially, connectability for drawings enables two separate Procore customers with different accounts to connect their projects so that these drawings will be copied and kept in sync with what's called an upstream project. And the terminology is important here. Now, this connection is currently a one-way connection, and what it does is it copies published drawings from the upstream project in the upstream account to the downstream project in someone else's account. So this is kind of a one-way push and really important to keep in mind. Now, the project connections to connect these two different projects together in separate Procore accounts are always initiated by the downstream company. All right, so if you want to have current drawings from someone else, you've got to request those from that upstream company. Now, the connection depends on the upstream company's approval preferences, which they set in their Procore account. They have two options. They can set it to automatically connect and accept requests, or option 2, they can set the requests as manual, in which case they approve or reject those requests in each case. We haven't fully battle tested this out, but my gut says probably go with manual so you can approve and reject each individual connection. Now, as the upstream project uploads and publishes drawings, those drawings are then copied into the downstream project, and when they're copied in as unpublished state. All right, so they don't automatically publish in your account, but what will happen is the project admin on the drawings tool in the downstream project will be able to review and then press publish, in which case they'll be published inside their account in their project for their drawings tool. Now, after the drawings are published in the downstream company's projects, all users that that company has with access in the downstream project, so in that project directory with read-only permissions to drawings or above, will be able to review and access those connected drawings that originated from the upstream company's project. Now, there are a few things to consider when using Procore Connection Manager for drawings. Obviously, you're going to need to have the required user permissions to set up the Connection Manager and work on the drawings tool as relevant each account. Now, projects can only be connected if they are in two different company accounts. This is really important. So the upstream and the downstream need to be in separate Procore accounts. Another one which may strike you as a little bit odd, but when you think about it, it's an important one to keep in mind, is that currently projects with more than 10,000 revisions or drawing revisions cannot be connected. So if we think about this logically, if we have 1,000 drawings, we can't have more than an average of 10 revisions per drawing, because that's going to add up to 10,000 or more. Now, I don't think most projects are going to have an issue with this, but if you have a really large project, just something to keep in mind. Now, currently, a downstream project can only connect to one upstream project, and that's really important to keep in mind. So if you want to connect to an upstream project, you have to choose one account to connect to. You can't connect to multiple upstream accounts. Now, for both upstream and downstream accounts, users on the Connection Manager tool for email distribution will get notified for new connection requests as they come through. Okay, so we've gone through Procore Connection Manager. Naturally, there's going to be some questions that you may have about how this works, and we did too. So here are some that we came up with and checked for you already. First question, which seems the most obvious to me, is can we daisy chain project connections for Procore Connect? So what I mean by that is that if we have an upstream project, can we connect that to a downstream project, and can that downstream project link to another downstream project, effectively becoming a quasi upstream project? Now, I can imagine a situation where you're the builder and you're using Connection Manager to pull in drawings being managed by the developer. And then you want your subcontractors to pull in drawings from your project that's already syncing from the owner's account or the developer's account, thereby becoming a secondary downstream project. So we tested this, and unfortunately it's currently not possible in the current version of Connection Manager for drawings. So another one that came through is a question for us is, can your projects in one account or two projects in one account connect to the same upstream project in a different Procore account? The good news is yes, we actually tested this one and confirmed this is possible. Although we're not exactly sure on how many times this will be applicable, and it may be a bit of a corner case, but good to know it's possible. Another question we thought of was, do drawing areas work with Procore Connect? And it's a big yes here. In fact, drawing areas are actually a foundational piece of the Connection Manager with drawings. So a couple of scenarios. If there's no drawing areas in the upstream project, then effectively an area 1 drawing area will be created in the downstream project, which will house all those drawings in one area for the downstream project. Now, if there are drawing areas, then they will be synced with relevant and matching names in the drawing areas in the downstream account as well. So if you've got multiple drawing areas in the upstream account, they're going to be identically reflected in the downstream account, and there's actually an indication to show that those drawing areas are actually synced from an upstream account. All right, so another question we came up with is, what if I already have drawings in my downstream project that I added, and then I make a connection to an upstream project's drawing register? No worries at all. So essentially, as what we talked about before, your drawings are going to sit there and they're going to be renamed into a default area 1 if we're bringing in anything else from another account using Procore Connect. Now, essentially, the drawing areas will be married from the upstream account and combined into a total drawing areas view, all broken down and clearly indicated which one are yours and which ones are being pulled from an upstream account. So another one to think of is, can I accidentally change the details, so things like drawing numbers, revisions, name, etc., of the drawings when they come into my account if I'm downstream, that could potentially cause issues and the two projects are out of sync? So currently, no, that's not possible. And I think this is a double-edged sword. I can see how some people might like the idea of doing that, but I can also see the massive risks in that. So essentially, any drawings that are pulled from an upstream project into your downstream project, the metadata details, so drawing names, numbers, revisions, all that sort of detail, is controlled exclusively by the upstream project. Another question we thought of is, can we selectively publish drawings and not all of them? So if we're in a downstream account and we're getting a whole bunch of drawings, maybe even though they're coming in from the upstream project, We don't see the value in having all of them published. Everyone has access to the drawings tool in our account, in our project. And the good news is, yes, you can definitely selectively publish the drawings. So if you get a whole bunch of drawings through and you feel like maybe a certain amount of them are not relevant, or maybe you're working on a certain part of the project, you can choose not to publish those drawings and just the ones you want. All right, another question we thought of is, can I selectively choose which drawings I allow downstream projects to access? Now, we tested this one, and unfortunately that is not possible at this stage. Hopefully that's going to be there in future iterations. So it's kind of similar to the permissions level in drawing at the moment. So with the drawings tool, if you have access read only or above, you see all drawings in the drawings tool. There's no ability to kind of differentiate between that. If that type of thing is really important to you, then you're going to want to have a look at Procore's new document management tool, which is an entirely different topic, but an important one to be aware of. So now we've looked at Procore Connect for drawings. There's going to be some natural questions. What about other tools? What comes next for Procore Connection Manager? Well, firstly, I think we should all step back and start to jump in and utilize what has been a huge step forward in Procore. But naturally, we're going to want to know, what other tools can we use in Procore Connect? We've had a look at the way Connection Manager works, and from our perspective, the top 3 next priorities are going to be correspondence, RFIs, and submittals. These are easily the most collaborative tools that we see used across multiple companies and often multiple Procore accounts. With Groundbreak coming up in just a short couple of weeks, we're hoping we'll hear some updates for Connection Manager and what the plans are for additional tools. We've put some feedback into Procore, and you can see in the description below the links to vote on those requests. Okay, so based on those questions, we'd love to hear if you guys have got any other questions, but we've already jumped on the front foot and we put some feedback into Procore, and we really would encourage you to jump in on their feedback portal and support these ideas, and check out the links in the description to access those suggestions. All right, so we've had a good look at Procore's new connection tool and how to use it for drawing management. So what to do next? Well, first thing is to jump in your Procore account and check that you have Connection Manager active, and set the configurations at your company level and also at your current projects. And have a think about, do you have any other collaborators, whether they're subcontractors, building companies, consultants, who you know are also using Procore on the same project? In that case, I'd reach out, have a chat with them, and talk about using Procore's new Connection Manager for drawings. Thank you. Cheers.